Once upon a time in China there was a boy named Chang. In Chinese, Chang means honesty, and this boy was well named. He lived with his mother and a big white cat. He worked very hard cutting firewood, and all three he had a kind heart.
One day on his way to the mountain to cut wood, Chang saw an old man crossing a bridge made of a single log. "That bridge is dangerous!"
But the old man had already lost his footing and was falling into the river. Without even taking his clothes off, Chang jumped into the river and rescued the old man. He helped him up the river bank.
"I'm amazed for your courage and selflessness." The old man took from his pocket a little dragon boat. He put it on the water and whispered,
"Grow bigger, grow bigger. May you bring the wind and waters."
Instantly, the little dragon boat turned into a great vessel, bobbing upon the waves. Then the old man whispered,
Grow smaller, grow smaller. May you be a toy again.
Immediately, the boat shrank back to its original size. "A magic boat? It is yours. If you ever need my help, just turn to the east and call Grandfather, Grandfather. Remember this, call Grandfather, Grandfather." And he disappeared into the air.
That evening it began to rain, and it kept raining for 10 days and 10 nights. When Chang's village began to flood, he took out his little boat and whispered, "Grow bigger, grow bigger. May you bring the wind and water."
The little boat changed into a great vessel, and Chang climbed aboard with his mother and big white cat. The boat had not sailed far before the white cat looked overboard and began to meow. Chang looked also, and he saw an ant struggling helplessly in the water. He scooped up the ant and placed her on board. Immediately, the little ant picked up the oar and started rowing the boat. The white cat looked overboard and began to meow again. This time, when Chang looked, he saw a queen bee drowning in the waves. He plucked her from the water and put her in the boat. No sooner had her wings spread than she began to help with the heavy rudder.
Suddenly, a queen, exhausted from a long day's flight, fell into the boat. Chang rushed to the poor boy to see if he could help him. But after resting for a moment, the crane helped with the ant with the oars.
Soon the little crew heard a cry of "Help! Help! Help!" from a man struggling in the water. Without hesitation, Chang threw the drowning man a rope and helped him into the magic boat.
"Who are you?" Chang said.
"My name is Ying. This is a fine boat. You are lucky to have such a hard-working man such as myself aboard." In Chinese, Ying means tricky, and this man was well named. But Tricky Ying did nothing from the moment he came on board but lie down and give orders, claiming that the long struggle in the water had tired him out.
Little by little, the flood waters went down, and Chang steered back to his village. They whispered,
Grow smaller, grow smaller. May you be a toy again.
The great vessel shrunk back to the earth, the size of a toy. When Ying saw this, he wanted the boat for himself, and he began to plot at once. Chang's help was lured from the flood, but the big white cat The ant, the queen bee, the crane, Chang and his mother set to building a new one. They carried heavy beams and moved loads of earth, but Ying only gave orders. One day Ying said, "Everyone knows how hard it is to build a new house. Let me take the magic boat to the emperor, and he will surely give us gold and silver for it. Then nobody will have to work anymore."
But what will we do if there's another flood?
Nonsense. Such a great flood only occurs once every 10,000 years. I will return by nightfall.
By that evening, when Ying failed to return, Chang realized that he's been tricked. He was so full of rage that he could hardly say goodbye to his mother and friends before racing to the capital to retrieve his magic boat.
So many people. For 10 days and 10 nights, Chang wandered up and down the streets of the city, searching in vain for tricky Ying. Then one day he heard trumpets blaring and gong-sounding voices shouted,
Make way! Make way! Make way for the new Prime Minister!
And who was this Prime Minister? None other than Tricky Ying himself.
Chang felt his anger mounting. He stepped following Ying's procession and shouted,
"Give me back what's mine, you wicked thief."
Ying was terrified of facing the boy who saved his life. The boy, he also cheated. Then Ying said to his guards, "Take this boy away and beat him."
The white cat, the ant, the queen bee, the crane, and Chang's mother waited for Chang to return. But after many days, when he did not come home, the animals decided to go to the capital and search for him. After searching for him for 3 days and 3 nights, they finally found him dirty and bruised in a little deserted pavilion.
To help Chang recover, the crane caught a great big fish and the white cat brewed a wonderful healing tea, which the queen bee sweetened with her own honey. And best of all, the ant dug up a little red bag full of magic medicine. At last, Chang was well again, and they decided to go to the emperor and tell him of Ying's wickedness.
But have to gain entrance to the palace. As fate would have it, the princess had fallen ill, and the emperor had issued a decree stating that whoever could cure the princess could be granted one wish.
Chang's friend decided to disguise him as a doctor and to go to the palace and cure the princess. They arrived at the palace, were soon led to the emperor. There he sat surrounded by mounds of food and eating and drinking. Amusing himself, everything was left in the hands of his tricky prime minister. He recognized Chang through his disguise.
Your Highness, I know this boy is only a woodcutter and not a doctor at all. He and his odd friend should be cast out at once.
Before the emperor had a chance to give the order, Chang cried out,
I have a magic medicine that can cure the princess. Please, let me prove it.
The emperor was so worried about her health that he agreed. As soon as the princess arrived, Chang took out the little red bag of magic medicine, and sprinkled the powder all over her. The princess princess miraculously recovered.
The emperor was so happy that he said to Chang,
"Whatever you choose is yours."
All that I ask is to return of my magic boat.
But the magic boat had brought great fame to the emperor, and he was unwilling to give it up so easily.
"Wait a minute. I must confer with my prime minister about your request."
Ying quickly whispered a devious plot into the emperor's ear. He suggested that the princess and her 7 maids wear identical dresses and cover their faces with identical veils. Chang was to pick which of the 8 princesses.
If you guess right, then the magic boat is yours. But if you guess wrong, then the magic boat is my friend.
Chang was distressed, but the queen bee whispered to him,
"Don't worry, only the princess will be wearing fresh flowers in her hair. The others will be wearing flowers made of paper. I will show you which one to pick." When the time came, the queen bees buzzed around the head of the real princess, and Chang easily picked her out. Again, the greedy emperor went back on his word, and he said,
"I'll give you your box and go instead."
But Chang refused, insisting that the magic boat was rightfully his. Unsure of what to do, the emperor turned to Ying for help once more. Ying turned to Chang and said,
"Prove that the emperor, that the magic boat is yours."
The animals didn't know what to do, but Chang, remembering the words of the old man, turned to the east and called, "Grandfather, grandfather."
At these words, thunder sounded, and the old man appeared riding a phoenix. He said to the emperor,
"It was I that rewarded Chang with the magic boat. But still, they would not give up the magic boat."
"Tricky Ying is a mean, bad man. Turn him into an old gray wolf."
The other animals jumped up and down with approval.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Tricky Ying is an old gray wolf.
Suddenly, Ying shrank into an old gray wolf.
Seeing Ying's fate, the emperor tried to escape, but he was too fat to go very far. The ant shouted,
"The emperor is a greedy man. Turn him into a big wild pig."
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The emperor is a big wild pig.
Chang and his friends retrieved the magic boat and happily lived ever. Chang and his friends retrieved the magic boat and happily returned to Chang's mother. In times of trouble, they used the magic boat to help those in distress, and in times of peace, they used it to rejoice.